go now. I know it's good, but I can't let it go. It's only been a day. Thank you. Acting Speaker, I also rise to support the motion that this House condemns the Labor government for failing in its responsibility to deliver the fundamental infrastructure and services to West Australia. Acting Speaker, the government has fallen short in its obligations in West Australia, particularly in regional electorates such as Warren Blackwood. Our communities expect and deserve a government that delivers the infrastructure and essential services that underpin a well-run society. Instead, too often what we see is aspirational but very little delivery. If we go globally, progressive governments have long held themselves to a higher standard, promising to deliver fairness, equity and public service as their founding values. As former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair said, the state of our public service defines the nature of our country. Our public realm is what we share together, and how it develops tells us a lot about what we hold in common, the values that motivate us and the ideas of the government. Former WA Labor Premier Carmen Lawrence put it even more clearly. In the end, we won't be judged as a society solely by our growth statistics and economic activity graphs. We will be judged by the quality of life that we foster for all members of our community and the compassion we show the disadvantaged. This is the framework for the Labor Party claims to stand for. These are the values that they campaign on. But here in WA, the reality does not match the rhetoric. The Premier and Treasurer repeatedly tell us we're in an economic boom, that the state is stronger than ever. But Acting Speaker, the average West Australian is not feeling it. If you're waiting for aged care in Denmark, if you're trying to get a GP appointment in Walpole, or if you're raising children in a town without reliable roads or housing or school bus services, you're not feeling a boom. You're being overlooked. Instead of delivering on these core pillars, we see money and focus directed towards vanity projects like the Burswood racetrack and ferry terminals in metropolitan areas at the expense of core infrastructure and services. Projects that have drawn public criticism of being costly, unnecessary and out of touch. In Warren Blackwood, schools are under pressure. Teachers are leaving the profession and relocating due to the burnout, housing shortages and lack of support. Regional students are at a disadvantage when it comes to access to specialist programs, school psychologists and extracurricular opportunities. Infrastructure in schools, from crumbling classrooms to out-of-date technology, is falling behind. The government talks about record investment but delivers inconsistent support. If we can't get the basics right for our kids in regional WA, how do we expect to close the opportunity gap? Aged care is a federal responsibility, but the state government can simply not throw up its hands. There are practical ways the state government can help. Provide RSV vaccines to aged care residents to prevent avoidable hospitalisations. Offer payroll tax relief to aged care providers delivering Commonwealth-funded services to improve sustainability. Invest in regional worker housing to invest in regional worker housing to attract aged care and health professionals to communities like Manjimup, Bridgetown and Denmark, and expand transport services for aged care residents needing medical appointments in regional hubs. The lack of accessible aged care beds and home care packages in our towns is putting pressure on families, on hospitals and the dignity of older West Australians. We don't need excuses, we need action. The government touts its infrastructure strategy, but planning documents don't build roads or hospitals. Regional road networks remain underfunded. Telecommunications in outer townships remain patchy or absent altogether, affecting businesses and emergency response times. And closer to home, our regional hospitals are stretched. Margaret River Hospital has once again been left out of the last rounds of state infrastructure funding, despite long-standing calls for upgrades to its emergency and maternity services. Hospitals across Warren Blackwood face staffing shortages, ageing infrastructure and growing pressure as regional populations age and tourist numbers increase. Local health workers do their absolute best, but they are working in facilities that haven't kept pace with need. And there is a clear lack of strategy when it comes to growing regional health care. The answer can simply not be go to Bunbury. For many in our communities, that's an hour and a half drive each way. Meanwhile, we watch as hundreds of millions are funnelled into the Perth racetrack project and a new Swan River ferry terminal that the public never asked for. Where are the upgraded maternity wards? Where are the investment in rural health services? Where's the support for overstretched frontline workers? In towns like Nannup and Walpole, transport access and health services are limited. In Pemberton and Northcliffe, housing shortages are pushing out essential workers. And across the region, schools are struggling to maintain enrolments and staff. I've taken the Minister for Planning and Land's comments as a bit of a challenge, so it would be remiss of me not to talk about forestry. In forestry, we've seen job losses and economic decline following the rush closure of the native forest industry. Local businesses are struggling to adapt, and the government's so-called Just Transition Plan remains light on delivery to the businesses affected by the closure. The disconnect between metropolitan priorities and regional needs grows wider. Labor is failing the communities it claims to serve. Acting Speaker, I ask of this government that it refocuses its priorities onto regional and essential services, not pet projects and PR exercises. That it delivers on regional infrastructure, not just announce, but complete projects that serve regional communities. That it supports aged care providers and practical state-based measures that complement Commonwealth funding. That invests in education for regional students with real funding, regional teacher attraction strategies and infrastructure upgrades. That it upgrades hospitals in Warren Blackwood, including urgent attention to Margaret River and Bridgetown hospitals. Acting Speaker, the left has historically promised to build the roads, schools and health services that hold society together. In WA today, especially in rural West Australia, these promises remain unmet. Our communities cannot thrive on a press release and they need results. I commend this motion to the House.